Imagine sipping a delicious glass of big, bold red wine and grazing over a plate of local cheese and salumi while you sit in a medieval piazza watching the world go by. If this is your travel dream, listen on as we're taking you to the region of Umbria to discover the local wine and why it pairs perfectly with this dream of Italy. Do you dream of speaking Italian but feel stuck? I hear you. Whether you want to connect with your Italian heritage, a partner, or you want to live in Italy, finding the right tools to match your learning style is important. My friend Michelle from Intrepid Italian offers a practical approach to learning Italian with her unique 80-20 method, teaching you only what you need to know. As an adult learner herself with Italian heritage, she really knows how to bridge the gap between English and Italian. As Angela from Australia said, I put my inability to learn down to my senior stage of life, but with Intrepid Italian, it seems to just fit. To find out how Intrepid Italian can help you learn Italian and to claim an exclusive $20 coupon code that you can use on any of Michelle's online courses from beginner to intermediate, visit untolditaly.com/Italian or visit the link in the show notes. As a bonus, you'll also get a downloadable travel phrase guide absolutely free. So visit untolditaly.com/Italian to accelerate your Italian. Buongiorno, buonasera. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Untold Italy. Hope you're doing well and excited about your upcoming trip, or you're plotting one out for next year or sometime in the future. I won't be going back for a good 6 months this time, which is a bit disconcerting, but it also makes me appreciate the time that I spend in Italy even more. And my conversations on this podcast too. There is no better way to connect with Italy for me. I do have the best job in the world, and that is no small part thanks to you, all our listeners from all over the world, even from Argentina and Japan. Hello to all of you. I just love that everyone's joining from different corners of the world, and our team and I love hearing from you all, because if we can help one person or family enjoy their time in Italy the way that we have, then it makes all our work that much more worthwhile. So I wanted to share a review from AIMSEB from the United States that we were so delighted to read, and they wrote an inspiring guide for anyone dreaming of Italy. When I first started thinking about going to Italy, I had no idea where to begin, no plan, no clue what I wanted to see or how to make it happen. The Untold Italy podcast completely changed that for me. Through heartfelt storytelling, fascinating history, and practical real-world advice, the passionate hosts and their wonderful guests not only inspired my imagination, but also gave me the tools to bring my dream trip to life. This isn't just a travel podcast, it's a window into the soul of Italy. Each episode left me feeling more connected, more informed, and more excited for my journey. If you're even thinking about travelling to Italy or simply love learning about it, do yourself a favour and start listening. It will touch your heart and guide your steps. Oh, grazie mille, AIMSEB. That is so much appreciated, and we can't wait to hear how your trip went. Truly, this is why we do what we do, and I really hope that you just have all those magical moments that you're dreaming of. Now, another listener reached out to me wanting to know how she could support the show, which I also appreciate. We don't have a Patreon or anything like that, but we do have the Untold Italy app where you'll find all our episodes ad-free, plus you'll get early release of the weekly episodes and all our travel guide information, which we are always adding to. We now have 10 regions of Italy loaded so far, and the next ones will be there for everyone in the coming weeks. It's a one-time payment and it works out at just over $1 US an episode. And if you choose to support us this way, we are so appreciative, and we do obviously love sharing all our travel information with you. Okay, for today's show, we're embracing the upcoming season. Of course, the northern summer is drawing to a close and autumn is just around the corner. This is always my favourite time to be in Italy. It's the perfect mix of sunshine, cooler days, and an excellent pasta-eating weather, not to mention all the harvest festivities. And one of the best places to experience this is beautiful Umbria in the heart of Italy, a place where traditions have endured for centuries and where the wine is plentiful and much less celebrated than in other parts of Italy, but for no good reason other than the locals may not be so great at marketing. Back on the show to share the wines of this region that has been such an important part of their lives are Olivia and Andrea from Italian Wine Tales, a wonderful resource for learning about Italian wine in an easygoing way. Olivia and Andrea celebrated their wedding just outside Perugia last year, and it featured many local wines. And they did take one for the team and tried quite a few before the wedding, so they are well placed to talk about the varieties that you'll find in Umbria. So, salute, let's find out all about them. Bentornati, welcome back to the Untold Italy podcast, Olivia and Andrea.
Ciao, Katy.
Ciao.
Hi, everyone.
Ciao, ciao. How are you going?
Yeah, really good.
Quite good.
We're just back from some big travels around Europe and in Piedmont at the moment, where we're currently scorching. It's 36 Celsius, so very, very hot.
It's pretty hot, yeah.
But hanging in there.
And we're also recording on Ferragosto. So it's the peak summer holiday. So they're taking a little break from celebrating to record with us today. What are you guys doing for Ferragosto? Because it is the important summer holiday, isn't it?
Yes, we're going to have a big lunch with a family friend after the episode. He was my best man at our wedding last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to celebrate all together since we're here in Turin and we don't see him that often. So it's going to be a nice day.
Lots of food involved.
That's for sure.
Oh, who's cooking? That's the question.
Exactly. Hopefully his parents.
Yeah.
They're good cooks.
And when you say a big lunch, does that mean it's going to go on for a very, very long time?
Something like that, I reckon, yeah.
A couple of hours.
Yeah, it's not a proper Italian lunch unless it goes for at least 2 hours, I think.
Indeed.
And I'm sure there'll be some wine to be had as well.
Yes, exactly. Maybe not red because I can't drink red wine in this heat, but hopefully some nice Piemontese white wine.
Yep.
Oh, delicious. Okay, now before we start immersing ourselves in beautiful Umbria again, can you quickly give everyone an introduction to Italian Wine Tales and why you're so passionate about Italian wine?
So Italian Wine Tales is our online website all about Italian wine, surprise, surprise. But yeah, we try and take out a little bit of, I guess, the pomp and ceremony that sometimes comes with the wine world and make it more approachable for people to really get to know what Italian wine's all about and enjoy it, because we think that, wine is fun. It should be something, a communal activity that people feel really comfortable to try different Italian wines and discover their love for their favourite Italian grapes. We're really passionate about Italian wine, particularly because there's so many different, I think it's the country with the most variety of grapes in the world. And I just think that's something worth celebrating and enjoying.
Yes, I completely agree. And coming from a region where wine is so important, like Piedmont, and it's part of the culture, I always thought it was nice and part of like paying homage to your culture and your tradition to learn and know more about this part of the Italian and my regional culture, even if you're not a wine producer yourself, but it's so intertwined with every meal and different seasonal aspects of your life that it's nice to know more about it.
Yeah, I love that. I think it is such a very important part of your lives there. And so even if, people maybe don't drink wine, I think it's really interesting and worth the curiosity to go and look into wine because, like Andrea said, you're managing the seasons, you're rolling with the seasons, different things happen, and it's all intertwined. I love it. Last night I was out at a restaurant and I always do this to Olivia. I always take a photo of the wine list and see what she suggests. Now, but if you don't have your own personal Olivia on hand and you're at an Italian restaurant, you can go to Italian Wine Tales and there's lots of information there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's take another trip to I think it's really one of our favourite regions, isn't it, Umbria? And that's because it is there where you do get these seasonal changes and movement of the seasons, and you can really see it happening in real life in front of your very eyes. And so we're going to discover some more about the wine culture in that region. So how about you kick it off and tell us where it is and what it's famous for?
Yes, absolutely. So now today we're talking about Umbria, which is an amazing, beautiful region. Personally, Piemonte aside, because I'm biased, it's my favorite region in Italy. So it's amazing. It's in central Italy. It borders with Lazio, where Rome is, Tuscany, where you have Florence, and Marche, which is the central region in the eastern coast of Italy. It is the only landlocked region in Italy. It's dominated by rolling hills and beautiful hilltop medieval towns. I always define it as a Tuscany, but with few tourists. And even if I don't want to use this word too much, but it's quite authentic. In this case, I'm going to use this word because I love this region. And the wine is stunning, amazing, because you have so many varieties. You have beautiful reds and beautiful whites. And I love, especially the famous red they had there, the main one we're going to talk more about later. It's the Sagrantino di Montefalco. And I like it a lot because it's full body. There is a lot of tannin, so that astringent feelings you have in your mouth reminds me a lot of some of the reds you have in Piedmont. And I really love when they have that tannic component in your mouth. I really like it. But if you're a white wine lover, you like summery wines, it's perfectly fine. There is one beautiful wine called the Orvieto DOC, which it takes the name after one of the main cities of the region, which is a beautiful mineral dry wine that you can pair with a lot of things from your aperitivo to fish dinner. So there is a lot of variety, a lot of wines to explore, and a lot of little towns to explore as well. Perugia is the main city, the capital of the region, you could say. And it's the biggest city as well. But of course, in my opinion, what makes Umbria unique and beautiful is the little charming towns from Spello to Gubbio, which we have a special connection with because that's where we got married. This is how much we love Umbria. To Orvieto itself, from where the name of the wine comes, to Assisi, which you might know because of St. Francis of Assisi. There is a lot to discover in this region. I really, really recommend it. It's beautiful. I can't talk about it enough.
We all love it, don't we? And I think that's because I think there's a few reasons. Like you said, when you use the word authentic, I think it's really purely Italian because there hasn't been a lot of international influence in that region at all, unlike pretty much every other region has had, French, Austrian, Greek. They've all been there. But this is a really indigenous land where everything has been going on there for centuries, like even millennia, just the same way. Growing vines, tending vines, harvesting. It is so beautiful. And one of the places that I really liked going to these towns, and I think is actually Montefalco, because when you arrive there, and it's got the ultimate piazza, I reckon.
It's true.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah.
It really is.
And you go there, it's like the town piazza, and then there's all these little cafes spilling out into the piazza, and they've all got delicious food and wine, and everyone's kind of chilled out and relaxed, and then you can go for a wander and do a little bit of shopping in some cute little boutiques. And I don't think there's that much to do there except for relax and eat and drink. I mean, what else is there? But anyway.
It's true. And in that piazza, there's one of the best restaurants that we go on our Umbria tour. It's right in that piazza. It's fantastic.
Yeah. But it does take a little bit of effort to get to Montefalco and around Umbria, doesn't it? So you do need a car.
Absolutely. The first time I went to Umbria actually was without a car, and I would not recommend it because there's not a lot of public transport. And if you don't speak Italian, it's even more complicated.
Well, I got popped on the train from Perugia to Rome, and it was quite slow. I mean, it was quite relaxing. I needed a slow train journey, to be honest, at that point, a few weeks ago. But yeah, if you want to get to Montefalco, I think you'd have to be getting buses and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's a very slow travel region.
Yeah,
in the fact that you're going to go slowly if you don't have a car. All right. So how about we dig into some of these wines in a bit more detail? Should we start with the white?
Yes. So the white wine is the Orvieto DOC that Andrea mentioned. And actually we had this at our wedding.
Yes.
It's really, we love that mineral kind of fresh, crisp wines, perfect for August drinking weather in the middle of summer. It's like a light to medium bodied wine. And normally it's made using the Gracchetto and Trebbiano grapes. So you'll find, even though it's called Orvieto DOC, so DOC, it doesn't mean that the grape is Orvieto. It's just around the area of where it's produced. So Gracchetto and Trebbiano are very floral, citrus, mineral kind of grapes. So really delicious, goes really well with fish, of course, grilled vegetables, the Umbrian olive oil, which is famous as well because olive oil is top-notch in Umbria, even with pecorino cheese. It's really nice. This is a wine, though, that you're not going to be wanting to age. Exactly. So drink it while it's young. So within like 1 to 3 years after it's been bottled would be best.
Okay, so if someone is at a restaurant and you get offered a 2020 vintage Orvieto DOC, you might say, oh, maybe a different one.
Yeah, a little old now.
Yeah.
What happens, though, when it gets too old?
So what would happen is, so the reason that you want to age red wines is because they've got that tannin component, and so that mellows out, right? Yeah. White wines don't have tannin, so there's nothing to kind of mellow out except for the flavours, and so it'll get just kind of flat, maybe not as floral. Maybe it could be a little bit like that sensation when you've got fizzy water and someone adds in a little bit of still water, and it's not that I'm saying that white wine's bubbly, but it's not bubbly anymore, but it's not completely flat. It's just a little boring, I guess. It's not going to be off or anything like that. It's just not going to be very vibrant in your mouth.
And that's what you want, really, isn't it? You want a bit of a zing. That's the type of white wines that I like.
Exactly, yeah. So white wine, I mean, you can also find lots of different Trebbiano. There's heaps of different Trebbiano varieties that you can get in Umbria and in Lazio as well, or Gracchetto. So they're the white grapes. But probably where Umbria shines or is most famous for are the red wines that Andrea was talking about. Do you want to tell them your favourite red wine?
Look, Sagrantino di Montefalco, which of course takes the name from the city, the little town that you love, Katy. It's probably one of my favourite red wines in Italy. It's bold, it's intense. You have this ripe red fruits taste in your mouth, like plum, cherries, and more intense, sometimes even notes of chocolate. When you smell it, you can smell tobacco, spices. It's very, very everything that a red wine, in my opinion, should have. You have this beautiful tannic part, which not every red wine has, but I always think is like, if you have a beautiful red wine and you don't have this tannic component, it's like having a sports car with a Fiat 500 engine in it. It's not really what you're looking for.
That is the most Italian thing I've ever heard.
You need to have some kick. Just like you would like a white wine with a bit of zest in it, you want a red wine with a bit of tannic. Because the whole point, like, this wine can be perfectly paired with rich meats. You can have wild boar ragu, you can have lamb, you can have truffles, which are very, very popular in Umbria. But if you don't have the tannic component, which its job is literally to wash your mouth a bit, to degrease your mouth when you have these rich meals, if you don't have that, you're missing something from your meal. And you want to have a full meal, a complete meal, complete eating experience. So go for it. If you see it in the menu, take it. You will not be disappointed.
Sorry, just one thing, though, about that wine. If you do order it when you're in Umbria, this has happened to us so many times, the waiters get a little bit worried because for them, they think it's a very heavy red wine.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, they try and convince you not to take it because they don't know, I guess, that an international customer like Australian or American, we're quite used to like a big Shiraz or a big bold wine. So if they say to you, oh, you sure you want it? Say yes, if you like big bold wines, that is.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you is it more similar to some of our, our Shiraz, our Cabernets that we're used to? Yeah, because some people get a little bit disappointed in Italian wine. Not disappointed, but they're surprised because they think it's going to be really big and hearty when in fact a lot of it is quite light, or light for our palates, I guess.
it's not like the fruit forwardness of like an Australian Shiraz or Cab Sav or something like that, but it's that intenseness is definitely there, and the tannin.
But differently than the Orvieto one, you can age this. So either you can buy it and age it, or if you see it on a menu which is aged, don't be shy, take it, and it's better in this way because, as Liv was saying, the more you age it, the more these tannins are going to be in your mouth, but they're not going to be too aggressive. They're going to be more mellow, they're going to be more round, and it's going to be a more pleasant experience drinking it.
So even something like a 20-year-old Sagrantino, that could be amazing. 10 to 20 years salary, depends obviously the producer, etc. But yeah, you really want to get an aged Sagrantino.
Did your parents like the Sagrantino?
Yeah, my dad likes big, bold red.
I remember. So if Liv's dad likes it, then it's got a big tick from everyone, yeah. It's a really interesting way that our palates have developed, and I think I've actually now, because I find it actually quite difficult to drink red wine, and I still love it, but it just doesn't agree with my body so much. But I prefer, if I am going to be drinking, more of a lighter wine. So I've been drinking basically a lot of Italian red wine because, the other ones are like maybe a bit too intense for me. And our ones are higher in alcohol. So would that be the same as a Sagrantino, a little bit higher in alcohol?
Yeah, Sagrantino is higher in alcohol, generally speaking. And we were talking before we started recording even just about weather changes in Italy and the very, very hot summers. Unfortunately, that is also meaning that slowly Italian wines are getting higher in alcohol too, just because of how hot the summers are.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Liv and Andrea were saying that in Piemonte, some people have started planting olive trees because it's getting warm enough to, cultivate olives, which is unbelievable because you have to think that you can see the Alps from most places in that region. It's very interesting how climate change is impacting this.
Exactly. So, we've got the Sagrantino. The other kind of big red, there's a lot of Sangiovese in Umbria. So the next one is the Torgiano Rosso Riserva, DOCG, and that's Sangiovese blended with Canaiolo, which is another grape variety, a red grape, or with even Cabernet. So Cabernet is obviously an international French variety. It's a little more elegant, we could say, than the Sagrantino, so not as big, bold in your face. Expect cherry, leather, dried herbs, kind of softer tannins, a little more silky. Yeah. So this one, you don't need to age for as long as the Sagrantino because, again, the tannins are already a little bit more elegant. So maybe something like 8 to 15 years to help it increase that complexity but not lose balance. And it would be really nice even just with a pasta with tomato-based sauces, the famous porchetta. So Umbria is the region, if you like porchetta, that's where you'll find it, or grilled meats as well. So that's a really nice red wine.
The last one I would like to mention for the reds, it's, again, from Montefalco. It's called Montefalco Rosso. I know it can sound a bit confusing. The one that I mentioned before was called Sagrantino di Montefalco. So Sagrantino from Montefalco. This one is Montefalco Rosso, Montefalco Red. And it's a red wine, but it's a bit more approachable than the Sagrantino. It's a blend of Sangiovese and the Sagrantino grape, and it's more easygoing, I would say. If you like red wines, but you don't want a rich, full-bodied, heavier wine, you want just a casual red wine because you don't want to sit for a long lunch. You want to have a quick dish of pasta and a red wine. So I would recommend this Montefalco Rosso. You find it basically everywhere in Umbria, and it's very, very good. Don't be concerned if it's not the Sagrantino one. Still go for it. You won't be disappointed.
And it's a little more affordable too.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Sounds good. Now, you did mention porchetta. I think you need to explain a little bit more because some people might not know what that is.
Absolutely. So you might have seen images maybe, or when you've been to Italy, if you have been before, even if you haven't, the pig on a roast with all the crackling part on the outside and the more tender part inside. And what Umbria is famous for is to cook this part of the pig, and they slice it in very thin or thicker, if you prefer, slices, and they put it inside sandwiches. You can have it on the go, or sometimes even have it when you eat as a starter, or even as a main meal, depending on how they serve it. But it's a very good part of the pig. I love the fact that it's crackling on the outside and very tender on the inside. Sometimes they even serve it with some sauces to make it less dry. But it's often not that dry because they know how to cook it there. They make it very, very delicious and juicy. And it's well paired with the red wines, especially that we mentioned it. But sometimes if you go out for an aperitivo, you can find also some cuts of the porchetta thinly cut with white wines, because it's very easy to enjoy.
It's also like a really good street food
exactly,
as well.
It is, yeah.
In Perugia especially, there's this amazing little van that's set up in the city where we often go and get like a porchetta sandwich, and you can have it with artisanal beer. They've got some great beer producers for beer drinkers in Umbria too, if you prefer that, or you can have it, of course, with a glass of wine. So we quite like doing that.
Oh, so civilised. So where can we go to try? Is there some wineries that you'd recommend going to visit?
Absolutely. So we visit some fantastic wineries, of course, on our Umbria tour, but they are top secret ones for our special tour guests. So some other ones that are great that you can book, I would like to mention Terre Margaritelli, and that's a biodynamic organic winery that's easy to book online. So this is the other thing about wineries in Italy in general. A lot of them can be not open just to the general public, don't maybe offer visits just for two people, etc. But this is one where you can happily book online. They speak English. That's, another thing about wineries in Italy, that they don't often speak English too. So this is one that you can visit independently and still have a really nice experience. So I'd say that one. And then Di Filippo, it's another really nice winery as well. They've got lots and lots of different wine varieties to try. They do some international grapes there too. So it's not commercial, but I guess it's a really big offering. So there's really something for everyone at that winery.
Yeah, right. And I don't think we've mentioned this on the podcast. I know I've sent it out in a few emails and we recommend it in our app actually, but there's a service called Windering, and they're actually an Italian company, and they go around to the wineries and help them get online so you can book wineries online, because it's really... Oh, my love-hate relationship with Italian e-commerce sites continues. But I've had a really amazing discussion with some people that live in Australia with Italian heritage, and they're bringing Italian products to Australia, and they've all said to me they've had to create their own websites. But, so that's another really good way to find wineries that are available online. And the other one that I was going to suggest is really early in our podcast journey, we had some guys on, I've forgotten their names now, but they did mention one that's in the shadow of Assisi, Sao Assisi, and they do picnics overlooking the city. So, yeah, I think that's probably a good one too. But I haven't tried that, but it did sound amazing. Okay, so... Umbria, if you like wine, you should just go. Like, seriously. I mean, what we have to sort of reinforce is that I know a lot of people like Chianti and the wines that they know, but it's just that those wineries and wine varieties have done an amazing job of marketing.
Exactly, and they export, and they make such a huge quantity, a lot more commercial than anything that's coming out of Umbria, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They keep all the good wine for themselves in Umbria, so that means that you want to go and check out their wine.
Yeah, this is a top tip. Like, we talked about this with the Dolomites as well. Like, they're not making it in huge quantities. And not that if you make it in big quantities that it's going to be bad, but you can just have a little bit more attention to detail. It's like with anything. If you're going to be like doing a bake sale and you have to make, 60 cupcakes, some may fall through the cracks. But if you just have to make 6, getting the primo one.
Yeah, I agree. But it's such a beautiful region for food, for wine, for the hilltop towns that Andrea was mentioning. Assisi with St. Francis, if you're interested in St. Francis as well. But the other thing is that I love about Umbria is the locals and the local connections and the people that you meet there. the time-honoured tradition. So we were just there over the summer as well, and we went to this amazing festival, not to mention the last episode you did about Umbria with Rebel during the flower festival. But even in the summer, they have this medieval festival in Bavaria that's incredible. And just it's all about the people and the artisans. And when Andrea says authentic, it's because it still feels like the Italy that you dream about, I guess, right?
Yes, because as you said, another beautiful, beautiful thing about Umbria is that even if these towns are very little and you wouldn't expect much from it, each and every town has their own little tradition, their own little festivals. And I say little, but they're really not that little in reality because they are so full of passion, so full of energy. For example, in Spello, they have the Infiorata, as you know, if you heard the last episode with Rebel, and we've been lucky enough to also go to an Infiorata in Spello, and it's an amazing show. In Gubbio, where we got married, they have the Festa dei Ceri, which is this religious celebration. But even if I'm not religious myself, but it's literally the most beautiful experience I've had in my life. It's more beautiful than going to a concert. It's more beautiful than going to a football event. You just have to be there. You are part of this energetic feeling of the people honoring their tradition and bringing something to life that you might think, this is an old tradition for like centuries ago. Why should I still care? Because everyone around you cares so much about it. It's beautiful. It probably makes you happy just to be there, to witness it and to be part of it. It's amazing.
I mean, and the other way that we make this kind of come alive, especially during our Umbria and fall tours, is our visits with local artisans. So you get that same experience. So we visit like a medieval candlestick maker, still honouring these time-old traditions. We visit a medieval paper maker who are still honouring these time-old traditions. We visit an amazing woman in Perugia who is a weaver creating the most incredible textiles. And these are things, obviously, that take people so much time to create. There's faster ways to do things now, but they've got the commitment and the want to keep these time-old traditions running, which I just find so inspiring.
Yeah, and I think, go back to the term authentic and authenticity. They're doing it because they want to. They're not doing it because they're seeing a business opportunity. And to contrast that maybe with, like Venice is amazing and it's a totally different culture and vibe and history and all of that up there. But if you take Carnevale, which is probably the most famous celebration in Italy, the community celebration, that was actually something that had fallen by the wayside and people had sort of decided not to do that anymore, maybe for over 100 years. And then it got revived in the 1970s as a way to lure in visitors. But, these ones are not like that. They've been going on and I can't imagine what it was like in COVID because they wouldn't have been able to do that, which would have been quite distressing.
I remember reading a couple of interviews of people being literally devastated for not being able, for example, in Gubbio for the Festa dei Ceri, which, brief explanation, they have these like wax candles covered in these wooden planks that they take around the city. They have three different saints in the city, and they run them up and down this city with narrow roads. And I'm talking about at least 10 meters tall. Super heavy, super high, and they run up and down. And these people were devastated because they were saying for the first time in centuries, we were not able to do it. They did it even when World War I and World War II were going on, but they couldn't do it during COVID. And for some people, you have to understand that they planned the whole year just for this single day. They plan everything. They plan the organization, they plan how they're going to, who is going to take the cherry where, when are you going to take it. So it's your whole life sometimes dedicated to this single event, and not being able to do it can be devastating. Of course, then COVID was a very important event and safety of everyone was the priority that comes without any questioning. But I also understand the point of view.
Mm. Yeah, it's just very fascinating to witness people that are so connected to their land and their culture, And we had a lady on tour with us from Oklahoma. Hello, John, if you're listening. And Mark, both of them. They were absolutely lovely guests I was able to meet. And Jonna she had American Indian heritage. And what I really found fascinating was there is this real synergy between people that have indigenous heritage that maybe people like from backgrounds like mine where we've come from a different part of the world and we've landed in another part. We just don't have that immediate connection to the land that you see in these countries where people have been, there for millennia. I just find it really fascinating. And I'm a little bit jealous, I have to say.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like they have, more of a deeper connection to nature and the seasons, and it's something special. And I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah, I agree. Well, come to Umbria and then you can be swept into the community spirit.
Well, it's true. Every time I go there, I feel like I've come home because everyone's so kind and lovely. So, yeah. Well, just before we wrap this up, I just wanted to ask you guys about the different seasons, because I know I've really been there mainly in summer actually, but I can imagine it's really beautiful in autumn when all the leaves are changing. And
it's stunning. I love visiting wine regions in the fall because it's when the vendemmia or the wine harvest is going on and there's excitement in the air from that. But Umbria especially, not only have you got the wine harvest going on, you've also got the olives. Yeah. So the olive harvest too, which happens like late October into November. And that's a beautiful festive time because you get to experience the first drizzles of the freshly pressed green olive oil, which is just delicious. And you've also got truffles too in Umbria, by the way, at that time of year, which are absolutely delicious as well.
And if you love winter, it's fine nevertheless, because in Gubbio, again, sorry, but I love it, they have the biggest Christmas tree in the world because they face one many hills, but one hill specifically, they lit up this hill, they light it up in the shape of a Christmas tree. So you can literally see driving or visiting the city, this huge Christmas tree, making everything feel very, very Christmassy. So in winter, it's beautiful. In autumn, it's beautiful. Every season is good.
I like the fall, though, because I would say winter, it does get cold in Umbria.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't like the cold, it does get cold. So fall is perfect because it's really nice temperatures for exploring, less people as well than the middle of summer, and all the pretty colours of the vineyards, the reds and the greens. It's a really special, festive kind of time of year.
And definitely the best time to be drinking that Sagrantino.
Yes, exactly right. It's perfect.
When are we going back to Umbria? I know you're contemplating a visit on the weekend, but I might have to wait a little bit longer. Anyway, Olivia and Andrea, thank you for sharing that. I just love hearing your passion about wine and just everything that goes around wine, the festivals, the food, everything. So if our listeners would like to know more about the historic wines of Umbria, how can they stay in touch with you and Italian Wine Tales?
So you can check out our website, italianwinetales.com, and we're also on Instagram, so Italian Wine Tales, and that would be, the best place to check out what's happening with Italian wine.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Grazie mille and ciao.
Grazie mille. Thanks,
ciao,
everyone.
Ciao.
See you next time. So there you have it. Umbrian red wines are for those of you who love a big, hearty red like those we find here in Australia and also the Napa Valley in California. Perfect for those autumn and winter days and a plate of truffle pasta. Buonissimo. When I was in Umbria recently, I had a frittata, a bit like an omelette with shaved truffle, and that was also washed down with a glass of Orvieto wine, and it was outstanding. So simple and delicious, which, in my opinion, is always the best kind of food and wine combo. As much as I appreciate fine dining, simple yet tasty experiences are the ones that I crave when I'm in Italy, where, in fact, they've got this down to a very fine art. You'll find all the details of our chat with Olivia and Andrea from Italian Wine Tales on our podcast show notes at untolditaly.com/287 for episode number 287. The episode is also available in the premium version of our Untold Italy app, along with the newly released guide to Umbria, including wine and tasting info, and that very special restaurant in the piazza in Montefalco. And if you're craving an autumnal escape and were wondering about this very special part of Italy, we have a couple of spots left on our fall 2025 trip in late October. Our group trips are small, food and wine focused, and you just show up and go. We take care of the rest so you can relax and enjoy Italy without worrying about logistics, crowds, or even choosing wine. Olivia has taken care of all of that. If that sounds like something you might enjoy, there's a link to the tour details in our show notes. Grazie mille. Thanks to all our wonderful listeners for your ongoing support of Untold Italy. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, then it would be wonderful if you gave us a rating or review in your favourite podcast app, and that helps us reach more Italy-loving travellers just like you. On next week's episode, I'm going to share some trip planning tips and thoughts on the state of travel in Italy generally. But until then, it's ciao for now. The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.